Hello and welcome to another episode of Mets in the UK, bringing you all things Mets from a UK perspective. Tonight I am joined by Jo. Hi Jo, how are you?
Oh, hello, long time no see. I've been a bit rubbish at this recently.
Missed you.
I know, life got in the way, moving house.
You have been busy. Yeah, exactly. We'll let you off. Just don't make a habit of it.
I won't, I promise I'm back. I am Mets ready.
Mets ready. Menzies have been very busy and very good. We've had lots of Mets fun. Shall we have a chat about what we got up to last week?
Yes, please.
So we started off from our last recording. We were at D-backs. We hosted D-backs. We had, no, I'm lying.
No, we were on a road trip.
We were on a road trip.
Well, that went on forever.
Honestly, I can't keep track. I was saying this last week. My body just does not know what day it is, what time it is, what day I'm supposed to be considering getting, because like some of them have just been, is it yesterday? Is it today? It's literally the middle
of so hardcore.
I'm so something. I'm not sure.
Hardcore. So I'm not surprised you get mixed up with what time of the day it is and what even day.
And that seems like forever ago now.
Yeah.
Honestly, being in Arizona seems like forever ago. But it's totally worth it because we started the series with an 8-3 win behind Mania. He went 6.2 innings. In that game, our Pete Polar tied Mike Piazza for third all-time on the Mets home run record. And Lindor hit his 35th double of the year.
MVP.
Absolutely. Game 2 wasn't quite so good. We were on the reverse of 8 runs, but it was a little bit closer. We lost 8-5. We pulled back from 4 down to lead 5-4. It was absolutely gut-wrenching. I can't lie. I'm usually pretty even-keeled about wins and losses, but it was just when Diaz gave up that grand slam, I was done. Sevi struggled a little bit as well in that game after getting hit. But as we know, he did come back and make his start. We'll get to that in a moment. No ill effects after that, but it was noticeable during the game. But then we followed that with a series win, took the third game 3-2. Another deep outing for David Peterson. He went 7. Buto then held down the 8th, and Diaz made up for the night before, coming in and getting the save. And also, Pete hit his 29th home run of the year to go ahead of Mike Piazza.
Oh, Mike. Sorry, Mike.
On his own. 221 home runs at that point for the Mets, putting him just behind Darryl Strawberry and David Wright. Series win, absolutely buzzing against the D-backs. We couldn't have argued against that. Then we rolled over to the south side of Chicago. Now, I was a little bit anxious about this series because
this could be a banana skin, couldn't it?
Exactly that. And I was saying that last week. Like, it's a very Mets thing to do, to slip up on one of these games. Yet everywhere I looked, everyone was demanding a sweep. We have to sweep them. No, there is no right. You don't have a right to sweep any team. We've seen that. And it would just be what we would do to just even drop one game.
No,
I didn't expect to lose the series, but I thought we'd drop one game. And do you know what? I wouldn't have been mad about it. I've been disappointed, but sweeps aren't easy to get, even against the terrible, terrible White Sox. And
they
you know
terrible,
what?
Aren't they?
I wouldn't have been as mad either, because I really don't want them to break our record, but it looks like they're going to. However, we got the 5-1 win on Friday. McGill made his start. So Peterson made the start on a day less rest against the D-backs and switched so that McGill started against the White Sox, which I think was genius. because McGill's covering for Blackburn, who is currently on the IL. A lot of bullpen support in that game. McGill didn't go too deep. Winker offensively went 3 for 4 with 2 runs scored. Lindor continued to lead by example, but the highlight of that game was my Tyrone's Superman diving catch into the net.
That was awesome.
I know, it was so good. And in game 2, it was a little closer. We got the 5-3 win with Quintana on the mound. Pete continued to mash. He got another home run, and we were 3-3 up in the first inning. It wasn't really much of a contest. Winker continued to enjoy Mets life. The boy is he's great. He's so much fun. And then third game was, do you know what, actually? Their starting pitcher, Crochet, was almost unhittable. His start was incredible. People are going to look at it on paper and say, oh, you only won 2-0. A, we got a shutout. B, if they'd have seen him, we were chatting, right, on our group chat about
is that
how
my amazing jokes? My amazing jokes.
Yeah, your amazing jokes.
Yeah,
they were amazing jokes. They're amazing. So, you know, to actually, we did well, and I think we were fortunate that he was on a pitch count. I think had they allowed him to go deeper, it would have been even more tricky.
But Lindor, at bats though, didn't we? We did tire him out a little bit.
We did, and I said that's what we did as well in the beginning. We needed to get that pitch count up as early as possible. And Lindor getting that home run, I think it was like an 11 pitch at bat or something silly when he got that home run to break it open in the first place. In the fourth inning, obviously we got the sweep. And that had us, including the split series against San Diego, a 7-3 trip. I know. Get us.
That is good.
How are we feeling after that week of action?
Oh, it was an emotional roller coaster. I'm glad we got through it, and I'm happy with that record because that has set us up nicely. But we just got to keep that train rolling. We just got to not go after the Braves. Let's go after the Diamondbacks at least. Let's just focus and go for it.
Right, you think that's interesting. You think we're going to catch the Diamondbacks over catching the Braves?
I think don't obsess over catching the Braves. I think that'll put us off. I think we go bigger.
I like that. Of course, we continued a little bit with our win last night against Boston, which again is something that perhaps a little unexpected. I expected it to be a slightly tougher test. Sevy the stud on the mound.
I know.
He's been incredible. Maton got his first save.
Maton, he's like, do you think he's like kind of a Terminator? He comes in, he shows absolutely no emotion, does it? And he just does his job.
Yeah.
Like he wins, still nothing, and then off he goes.
Yeah, he's very, very kind of straight faced and just gets on.
I've never seen him smile. I don't mind that.
I'm kind of that's got like I'm going to be like keeping an eye out for a Maton smile now.
He is just he's like a robot, a good one. I'll give him that.
A very good one.
Yeah.
Understated, I think, is the word for Maton. He just understated. But thankfully, it doesn't seem to be going unappreciated. You know, there is the job that he's doing seems to be being recognised, which is deserved because every time he comes in, like you said, he does his job. Did you have any particular highlights over the last week?
I'm just liking how, like at the beginning of the season, everything was so up and down, and like you didn't quite know what you were going to get from the starting pitchers. But now something has clicked, and they're all just on it, aren't they? They're like pitching to like seventh inning and all that kind of stuff, and it makes it so much less stressful most of the time. When you get 7 out of them, and they've all been pretty solid, haven't they? Even when McGill came in, who can sometimes be a little bit up and down, he did a job. I mean, he didn't last that long, but he did a job. So I was loving the pitching, starting pitching.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's been happening over the last. It seems to have been the last kind of 3 weeks-ish, 3-4 weeks. We've been really getting some depth out of our starters, and I don't know if that's a real. It has to be a conscious thing, right, that they're pushing them to do that, because it's not happened up to this point, and it seems that like they have been incentivized to go, look, because we need to protect our bullpen, especially as we're coming into this stretch in September. We've had a couple of games over the last week. I think I mentioned there was one game, was it the McGill game against the White Sox, where we had quite a few come out of the bullpen, because I think he went 5 innings, 5-1 maybe, 5 and a third, I think. But aside from that, they've been pretty well protected. We had Diaz pitch 3 days in a row, which was a little bit weird. But then he's had that off too, so he is fine. But yeah, I think I'd have. I always say over 10 games, 6-4, and I'd have been happy with 6-4 over that. Again, I saw a lot of people saying that we should go 7-3 on that trip, but mostly because they were assuming a sweep over the White Sox. So I'm over the moon with 7-3.
We're just looking at the schedule though, and this whole, like when you see just September, it looks so scary. Like the pressure is on, isn't it?
I know, but it's also, isn't it depressing though?
What are we going to do? Let's not think about it. Don't think about it.
Yeah, let's not worry about that. So we are currently, as we move to think about what's gone on outside of the games themselves, we are a season high 10 games over 500 at the moment. I can't remember the last 10 games over 500. It's like,
nice, isn't it?
Quite a nice little cushion we've got going on there. It's quite pleasant, given that we were told to not expect anything this year, which of course we don't, because we don't expect anything anytime, but a lot of people still do. But that is, who saw that come in a couple of months ago? Like,
and even when we were at London, like anything, getting a streak together seemed a struggle, didn't it? And now we've kind of consistently, we might have lost a game, but then we've gone on and won a few more. We're just keeping our heads above water. And now to get 10, it's cool.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
It's incredible. It's crazy. We're on a 5-game winning streak.
Nice. Is that the best so far? Have you done more? Can't think.
I think we have. I think.
Yeah. That little bit where we started kicking off at the beginning after the terrible start, possibly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think we might have done. I'll go back and check that though, actually, because that's a really interesting question. We are only half a game back on Atlanta in the wild card. Really interesting point you made about looking at the Diamondbacks, because they have been struggling. So that is one to think about, because we could catch them, but and it's San Diego up there as well. I think that we're kind of close to both of them now as well. And I'm still going to keep mentioning it, because we still have to play them 7 times. We're only 7.5 games back on the Phillies. I'm going to keep mentioning it, because if we didn't have that 7-game series against them, I perhaps wouldn't think all that much of it. But so much of that is still in our control. Can you imagine what it's going to be like that last series if we're close to them?
Things can change quickly in baseball. It takes a few losses one way, doesn't it, and a few wins the next, and game on.
Exactly. I if we're still like at this stage of the year, we're 10 games back, then even optimistic me might be like, okay, but 7.5.
At least we've still got hope, and we're hanging in there, so we're still playing for something.
I'm to the last out.
Exactly. You're the most optimistic person I know, so let's do it.
To the last out. Until it's not mathematically possible, it's possible. So beyond that, there's been a few roster moves. DJ Stewart was called up to cover for JD Martinez, who is on the paternity list. Best wishes to the Martinezes. Alex Young anybody who's listened to any of these recently knows how I feel about Alex Young. Has come back up to fill the extra pitcher slot, and Pablo Reyes has come up. Now there was talk around, why is it not Cunha? I completely get it. I completely get that reasoning, and there's nothing to say. Just because they've come up now doesn't mean that those moves can't happen later in the month if needs be. I think it's a really good thing. I like the thinking behind leaving him there to play every day, and having Reyes up as kind of a utility guy. There's also been talk of Senga coming back towards the end of the year, but just in relief rather than starting. And again, we've said this before about how he is very much in control of his own positioning and where he is and how he's feeling. And I see it. He's saying that it's too crucial a time for him to risk it if he's not 100%. I kind of respect that, but I still think personally that an 80% Senga is probably better than an alternative. So,
you know where the storyline arc goes, there, don't you? We're just saving him for the postseason. Come on, saving him.
Let's hope so. And if it keeps him fresh and we get him postseason and we get peak Senga postseason, then
we've got some aces at the moment. I'm really impressed with all the starting pitchers now.
We absolutely have, but can you imagine where we'd be with Senga as well?
He teased us with that comeback game, didn't he? He was so good, and then we never saw him again.
I know. It is. It's one of those things that we have to keep in mind. Like, where would we be if we'd have had him all year?
We'd be up there.
I mean, I know there's so many teams can say, particularly, the Braves have been hammered with some horrendous injuries this year, but it's kind of one of those things. But then we get him to come back properly next year. And good old Buck Showalter on MLB Network doing his bit for Lindor for MVP. So there was a discussion around Ohtani versus a couple of people that were pulled into the mix, and Buck, his point was basically shortstop is the most difficult position. And one of the things that I'm not going to quote it word for word, but it was something like, in fact, it might well have been these exact words, but it was something like Lindor can go 0 for 4 and win a game. Ohtani can't go 0 for 4 and win a game because of what Lindor can do.
It's just immense, honestly. You can rely on it. It's solid.
Exactly. And hopefully, those who get the votes take into account the whole picture and everything and what he does for the team and how he elevates the team and supports the team. Oh yeah, he's if they work it out on impact on a team, then there can be no argument. But I loved to see that and hear that. It was amazing. So do we think that he's genuinely got a chance? There's still this. We talked about it last week on the pod. There's still talk of him, and I think it keeps going, and it's getting a little bit of momentum.
Definitely get momentum. Chants in the stadium, the ballpark, and he's doing the simple things right, and then he's doing the spectacular Lindor things, and picks up traction and social media and stuff. So keep doing his thing. He's in with a chance. Come on.
Let's hope so.
He deserves it.
Has there been anything else newsworthy that's caught your eye this week?
It's not really newsworthy this week, but it's just this continued evolution of David Peterson, the stud. Where does it come from? I had a hip operation 2 years ago. I didn't turn into a stud. How's he managed it? Fair play to him.
I think it just shows the impact that injury was having on him.
Yeah, maybe that's exactly it. Probably, yeah.
I think it's not so much that it's made him better. I think it's more of a reflection of how much it was impacting him before. So I'm just loving it. And again, it's confidence as well. So the more, every time he has one of these great quality, solid, stud-like starts, you just know he's going to go into the next one and do the same thing again.
And he's strutting. He's now got like a strut as well, which I'm loving.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. It's amazing. We get to see him tonight, I think. That's a good segue into what we have coming up. So we've got another 2 against Boston. Boston's never easy, right? So, but we have Peterson tonight, followed by McGill, facing Crawford and then Houck for Boston. Both tough. So, I think there's going to be some good pitching on display. Our Tom will be very happy about that because he's a pitcher's guy. And then following that, we face Cincinnati. They're currently 66 and 73, and they're 4th.
They're both UK friendly games.
They are. So we've got Saturday and Sunday. We've got UK friendly games over the weekend, so I'm very excited about that. Thank goodness. And I get a day off on Thursday. So yes, we have 9:10 UK time on Saturday and 6:40, I think, on Sunday. And we finally got some Sunday evening baseball bliss this week. It's like the first time in so long. I can't remember the last time that we won on a Sunday before this weekend.
They tease us on Sundays, don't they?
I know. It's like, oh, we know everyone in the UK is going to be watching now, so we're just going to just give them what they want. They love misery in the UK.
Probably raining. Let's make it rain.
Exactly.
No, we're over that now. It's going to be fine. We're going to win again on Sunday.
We are. So hopefully, we'll get a nice Sunday evening. And then after that, we're back on the road to Toronto.
Couple of games, a couple of little short series. Which are always interesting.
It's frustrating, but we'll get it done. A little bit more travel, marvelous, but they're all. I think Boston obviously is going to be tough. I think if we can come out with the series win against Boston, happy with that. Cincinnati can be dangerous. They've got good players. So I am not taking anything for granted there at all. And then before our next recording, we've got, I think, the first game against Toronto. So that's 6 between now and next Tuesday. How do you think we're going to do?
I'm going 4 wins. I think. I'm not telling you which 4, but
I was gonna say, do you know where they're coming from, do you reckon?
We're gonna sweep Boston. And then we're gonna have one little weird little tricky game against the Reds, and then we're gonna beat the Reds again, and then bring on Toronto.
Love it.
I'm just feeling confident, But then this happens to me. I get overconfident, overexcited, and then the Mets do the Metsy things. But that's fine. I'm fine with that.
That is fine. I'm loving that. I think maybe 1 out of the 2 against Boston, 2 against Cincy, maybe 1 against Toronto.
Yeah. But we need to set ourselves up for the Phillies, basically, don't we? We want to go in on a high with some momentum and all confidence going still.
That would be nice. Nice. I think it's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky. And Atlanta are in Colorado. Yeah, they're in Colorado.
But baseball's weird. We know that. I don't think
we do. And then they play Toronto as well before we do. So we could do with Toronto getting their winning out of the way.
Yes.
Atlanta. So plenty of games to look forward to, plenty for us to see. With regards to the mix of teams as well, we've kind of got, you know, a really, really solid team in the Red Sox. I know they've been far from invincible recently. I think, you know, it's a good time to be playing them, but and you've got kind of the unknowns of Cincinnati and Toronto. But hopefully when we talk next week, we'll be talking about plenty more wins. Yes. One more thing to ask before we wrap up. And there's a very big, this is a contingent thing, right? But so it's one question, but it's really a different question. Is Pete going to break Darryl Strawberry's record of 252 home runs?
He's got to stick around. He's got to stick around if he wants to.
Exactly. That was my point. That's exactly my point. The only way he can do that is if he sticks around. How much?
Is that the carrot that keeps him around for a bit longer?
That's the question.
Or is it that carrot or the record carrot?
You see, I think that the way he's been talking, I think he really wants to stay. And I've said my phrase has been he needs to put his money where his mouth is, because I don't think he's going to get the money that he might have thought he would have got. Yeah. And if he genuinely wants to stay, then he's going to have to be open to working something out. I think the Mets, they won't disrespect him. They'll want him to stay.
Yeah, I want him to stay too. I want him to break it. Come on, Pete.
So, one to watch. So, are you saying yes, he's going to break it?
Yes.
Love it. Love it. We will put that out there with the recording, see what everybody else thinks.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. Any other comments from the week just gone or the week coming up?
No, I don't want to jinx it. I'm just riding this wave and seeing what happens. So, yeah, let's go Mets. Come on.
Amazing. Well, I've loved having you with us this evening.
Yeah, I'll try and come back soon. I'll, you know, share my face a bit more. Why would you not want to see this?
Thank you very much. Wonderful. All right. With that, all that's left to say is let's go Mets. We will be back next week. You can catch us on social media everywhere. Mets in the UK. Make sure you tag us with hashtag MITUK. One thing I did forget in the news, oh my word, Grimace Shakes.
Grimace Shakes. Oh, I never had one.
Me and Darren had one eventually. We shared a Grimace Shake virtually. It was amazing. But
just needed a special cup, really. That was what was missing.
I know. It was really nice though. But my sources tell me that they were only given so much of the secret sauce across the UK, and they sold out in the first day. So
bring it back. We want the special sauce.
It was just for 1 week only, but I only got the one, and it wasn't on any other time. Yes, at least we got one. Bring back Grimace.
Hashtag bring back Grimace.
Bring back Grimace. But yes, thank you to our darling Darren for sharing that with me last Wednesday when we did it. But yeah, on that bombshell, we shall leave it there. Catch you all next week. Give us a shout, give us a follow, give us a share. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.